Hello and welcome to another episode of Battle Ready. Where today we thought we'd talk about the Battlescroll. Now
Yes.
we know we're a little bit late. We're a little bit late on the Battlescroll
Just a tiny bit.
because we wanted to do our Christmas video and some other things were coming up.
Yeah.
And then right when the Battlescroll came out, Drake and I we left for a little Christmas family thing. So we were away from the home area.
Yeah.
But we're back now.
Yeah.
And it's time to talk Battlescroll. Big picture. What do you think?
I think it did change a lot of things in the ways we would have liked them to change.
Yeah, so one of the things I think has been really cool is it's been good that Games Workshop has been doing battle scrolls, right? Because it shows that they're interested in keeping the game up to date. They're interested in finding things that are not working as intended and fixing them, or finding things that they could improve, right? And one of the things that's been super cool, I think, is in battle scrolls, is every battle scroll has gotten a little bit better. Like, do you remember the first battle scroll where the whole fix was, oh yeah, those armies that suck, they get more points now? Do you remember that?
I remember
Nighthaunt sucked at the time. They're like, oh yeah, Nighthaunt gets more points if they kill monsters.
Oh, that's what was. Yeah, they just got more points for knifing stuff.
But it's like you couldn't knife the stuff to begin with. So, and then putting extra points on it was a total Band-Aid fix to like.
Band-Aid fix to stop a broken leg.
Yeah, because it didn't fix the army. It just made the win rates a little bit different because you've got these pity points, right? I mean that was really bad. I think at the time what we said is, look, we're glad they're aware there's issues, and we're happy that they want to address them. But that was the most terrible way to do it. Mm-hmm. That was bad. But it seems like every time since then, they've been more and more willing to tweak how things go, even change some more scrolls, even more recently change some battle traits. It's been pretty cool. And I think this most recent one has really, really jumped into it. All right, so a couple things that I really like about the new battle scroll. The first one is it included Spearhead.
Ooh.
Right? I thought, well, I don't know that I thought this, but I thought it was about a 50-50 shot that they either keep Spearhead updated, or it's just they consider it it's just this fun mode so that people will buy our boxes, and then the 2,000 point game, that's the real game. So we're not going to spend a lot of time balancing Spearhead, right? So I thought it was about a 50-50 shot whether we ever even got Spearhead balance. But we did.
Woo!
We did.
Woo!
And not only did we get Spearhead balance, but I feel like, you know, the actions they took were all in the right direction. Now, I don't know if Spearhead is perfectly balanced. I don't think it was that unbalanced to begin with. A couple of exceptions. I don't think it was that unbalanced to begin with. But I think it's cool that all the buffs that they gave went to Spearheads that I thought were fragile. And the slaps, right, the nerfs that they give were to teams that I thought were a couple of them were a little overcooked. So I thought it was good to bring those down. Do you remember what any of the Spearheads are?
I know slaves changed to have their knights be reinforcements.
Yes, so you don't get your knights first anymore. You get them second, which is in its second battle round, which is great because one of the things Slaves to Darkness could do is that first charge in with the knights
to just elite,
and it would just really, really be painful for the other team. So taking that back, so that the other team has at least one turn to sort of get out there and do some stuff. That's really good. Who else got a nerf? Do you remember?
I know Ogres got a nerf.
Ogres also got a nerf. Now one of their 2 units of Gluttons also has to wait until the third battle round. So at the beginning, I think they're like a Tyrant and 3 Gluttons. Or a Butcher or whatever their hero is.
They're at the beginning of the game now, they're a Tyrant, 3 Gluttons, and 4 Leadbelchers.
Oh yes, they do have the Leadbelchers.
That's all they have. Why? They needed that third pack of Gluttons.
I don't think they did. I think
they did.
I think it turns out they were doing mighty fine without that second pack. So yeah, I think that has been really, really cool to see that. Like I said, I don't know if that perfectly balances everything. Maybe they could do more. I don't know, but it's in the right area. Oh, and then one that needed help, I thought, was Caradron. And now 3 of their 5 units now have reinforcements.
Which I think is deserved.
Super deserved, because their guys are just not very hardy, right? They're easy to remove, small wound counts. And so being able to
Smallish.
jump back on the board, I think, is a good thing.
Mhm.
All right. The other thing that changed with Spearhead, and it is sort of a change with the main game as well, is now if you're, underdog, you always got benefits. But if you're an under puppy, because you're so far behind, not even a dog, you don't have that dog in you, you got a puppy. If you're 6 points or more behind and you take the double, you can still draw cards. So you are not penalized, which is great. Now in Spearhead, I feel like we aren't often that far behind.
Mhm.
It happens, but I think it's not super common. But I think having that as a potential catch-up mechanism to get you back in, and you're not costing yourself points, really good, really good. All right, so turning to the main game. Before we talk about individual armies, we'll only just touch on those. But I thought it was really cool that they really went in and hit some of the fundamentals of the game. Is that hitting the fundamentals?
Yep.
Okay.
Just like that.
So the first one is that it's basically the same thing. If you're 6 points behind, you're allowed to take the double with no penalty.
That's nice.
So good, right? Now it's a true catch-up mechanism, because before, if you were behind and you took the double,
You
can't score battle tactics, right? And so it made it hard to take if you were behind, right? If you were significantly behind, it made it hard to take. And now that's not the case. But the other thing that we've complained about in the past is if you, maybe on the first turn, you take the double. So you take the double from 1 into 2, right? And then you just annihilate their army. But because you weren't able to do a battle tactic, you're technically the underdog. So then you get the underdog bonus for round 3. Oh, it's so brutal. Why do you get to be underdog when you had the mega turn? That doesn't make sense at all.
I think they should change underdog. Oh, did they change that?
They did change it. I told you about it. You don't remember?
No, we haven't played 2000.
We haven't played 2000 yet with the changes, but yeah, they changed it. So now, if you take the double,
You lose to underdog.
your opponent is underdog the rest of the game.
Oh yeah.
So and that means if you take the double, not only are they underdog, they get all the underdog powers and
Extra command point
and all that. So unless they later take the double and then it switches, right?
You.
So that means if you're taking the double, you're giving your opponent that bonus. Now in some plans, the underdog bonus isn't that great. In some battle plans, it's crazy good. So I think that'll make the decision different depending on the battle plan, right? But I think that is good. So you never get into a situation where you double and then you get to be underdog, right? That's ridiculous. I don't think that was intended, but that's the way the rules worked.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But the thing I think is so cool about that is that they're in this battle scroll. Before they've changed, a war scroll here and there. They've made little adjustments here and there, but they've sort of been, tinkering with the knobs and levers. And this one, they're really getting into the meat of things. They're changing the fundamental priority structure of the game.
Rewiring the entire game.
Yeah, well, at least this part of it very significantly. And so I think this is a really good sign that they're willing to look at the game and say, you know what, this thing here isn't really doing what we wanted to do, right? We had this goal in mind, and instead, the way we wrote it, it's having this other impact. And so they're trying to, realign those things, which I think is so super good, and such a good, signal post, sign for the future, because that means in the future, hopefully, they'll continue.
It's just
to
a
do
ploy
this.
to get us excited.
Yeah, to get us excited. So, any other big changes like that you thought were really interesting?
I haven't looked at the
You don't
Battlescroll.
remember?
So.
You don't remember? We talked about it. You don't remember?
No, it was before I went to.
Yeah, it was before our trip. It was before our Christmas trip. So I think it's all been replaced with candy and toys since then.
They're fun.
They are fun. And Drake, what'd you get for Christmas?
A jacket.
No, Warhammer related.
Oh, I got 5 more brutes that are never going to get painted.
The brutes are coming. So
10-pack of brutes.
Yeah, we'll have a 10-pack of brutes. So, and maybe they'll even be painted. Maybe.
I've got a 5-pack semi-painted.
So, all right, we've got half of them semi-painted.
That's
but
how it
anyway,
is with me. Leave me alone and I can paint.
then when it comes to individual armies, I thought they did pretty good. They changed a little bit of the way that Caradron worked with their boats. They changed a little bit of some other things. One of the things I thought was so cool is Night Haunt has been doing really, really well with people that know how to use it. So not me. I'm just,
It was my first army.
over my head. But because they've been doing so well, they had a nerf. And they could have done a lot of things. They could have said, all right, Night Haunts, Hex Raids are really doing right now. We're going to make Hex Raids bad.
Oh, we know how.
We increase their points. Yeah, maybe that's why we're not doing so good. Or they could have said, "Oh, Night Haunts, they're doing so good, so we're gonna, raise points. Or we're gonna change war scrolls, or of the particular things that are causing problems." They didn't do that. What they did instead was say, "All right, discorporate. Instead of using it as a reaction, now it's any hero phase."
Oh yeah, that thing.
So now the Night Haunt player can't put everything into, see what gets into combat and what doesn't, and then decide, ooh, which attack coming my way is going to be, oh, I thought he might have attacked these guys, but his big hammer is hitting these guys. So I'm going to now I can discorporate over there. Nope. Before you make a single movement in the hero phase, or your opponent makes a single movement in their hero phase, you've got to spin that command point. And that means your opponent knows what's been discorporated when they're moving and charging, right?
So they're like, don't.
So they're like, ooh,
way.
now that you've discorporated, now I'm going to go this way and attack this unit over here. That is such a sneaky good nerf because it doesn't change your tactics necessarily, or at least not hugely, right? You can still bring the same units. You can still look for the same buffs. All that's going to be the same. You can still play your battle plans about the same, right? Your list didn't change. But it's going to be harder on the tabletop, right? You're going to have to be more skilled now, which is bad for me because I was already poorly skilled at Night Haunt anyway. But you're going to have to be more skilled now, and I think that's like the perfect nerf, right? The perfect nerf is one that doesn't take away people's toys, right? It's one where it doesn't say, oh yeah, hex rates were too good and you bought too many hex rates, so now hex rates are bad and you got to go buy more things, right? No, you can keep your list. It's really good. But it does change the way the game is played so that now you've got that good list, but you're going to have that extra hurdle now. Oh my gosh, I thought that was a beautiful change. A beautiful change. Any big changes that you saw? You still don't remember? You still don't remember? Anyway, the bottom line is...
I get shocked during the game all the time.
You were like, oh my gosh, this can happen now? But the bottom line is that during the game, during this battle scroll, I was so excited to see how willing Games Workshop was to go in and really find the problems and address them, right? And address many of them, maybe not all of them, but many of them in really interesting and clever ways to make sure it's aligning more with the intent than sort of how it had been played. I do think there was one missed opportunity, though. And maybe this is because they were doing so much else, they didn't get around to this. Okay. But I do think there was one missed opportunity.
What was it?
Endless spells.
Ah.
Or manifestations, I guess. Manifestations. And I think there's two issues with manifestations that I really think that need some attention. See if you agree with me on this.
Okay.
Number one, it is too fiddly to decide when they're a unit and when they're not.
Yep.
I hate that. They need to make it way clearer.
They're either a unit or they're not.
That could do it that way. Or if they wanted to have a couple of exceptions and they're a unit, like they're a unit in these phases, but they're not a unit in these phases. Something like that. Maybe we could figure it out. But yes, battle tactics, all kinds of stuff. Because sometimes they're units and sometimes they're not. And it's really confusing having to remember all the different little exceptions. I feel like they need to streamline that a little bit. And I feel like it could be streamlined, right? So future battle scrolls should really take a look at that.
Yes.
Second, I think this is more power level type stuff rather than bigger game generic stuff. But I feel like the manifestations are really uneven. Mm-hmm. I feel like Morbid is great.
Wild,
Primal,
or that one, yeah.
Great, fine, good.
It's versatile.
And then 2 pieces of junk.
What are they called?
Ether Rot Marvels.
And the other things.
And the last one. I don't even know. And actually, there is one more that we don't have. that comes with the Forbidden Power one. We never bought that box. We don't even have that one. But it's like the problem with generic anything is you can't make it so bad that nobody takes it, because then what's the point? But if you make it good, then everybody takes it, right? It's like, oh, I don't want to bring my Daughters of Cain manifestations because I'll just bring Primal. It works better. Oh, I don't want to bring my Zinch manifestations, so I'll just bring Morbid. It works better. Like, it's not a good way to do it, right? They should be marginally useful and no more powerful than faction specific spells. I would really, and I don't know that this is appropriate, but I would almost make it so that the faction specific manifestations, if your faction has them, you've got to take them.
Yep.
Right. So if you're playing Daughters of Cain or Zinch or Slanesh or any of those, it's like maybe you only get to take the regular ones if you pay a 50-point tax. Right?
Yeah.
There's something, right? But I really feel like those ones, make them available if somebody really likes, they painted up their Purple Sun real pretty and they really want to bring it.
Hours of dry brushing.
Then okay. But I really think the game should really focus on the faction specific ones. And then for the normal ones, I would at least, at bare minimum, equalize their power so that it's not a choice between Morbid and maybe Primal, depending. It's more of a choice between, Morbid or Primal or Ether Rot or the one I can't even remember the name of. And because they're all about the same. And one way to do that is to, make all of them. You have one that's a okay damage dealer. It's not a hammer or anything, but it could put out a couple mortals or whatever. You have one that has some kind of defensive thing. If you're around it, you get cover, something. And then you have one that gives some sort of minimal, marginal, but something you'd have to remember. You wouldn't feel bad. You'd feel a little bit bad for forgetting, but some kind of minimal buff. And that way you put those buffs out, and you don't have something like the Purple Sun, which is going to come in and just, kill everybody's wards, not wards, their saves, right? Their armor saves. And suddenly that's so good. It's almost mandatory in some armies in order to compete against other armies, right? And then, or Primal, where it's just like death and healing, death and healing, death and healing. And you're just, you're healing your guys and killing their guys. It's like, what, let's make them all, just spread that out a little bit. Spread that love out a little bit. Make it more of a choice. And then the generic ones should be nothing to write home about. You take them if you don't have your own.
You can stick them in a bottle.
And between yours and your own should probably be a little bit more attractive, right? Any other places that you thought were amiss that you were like, because I loved a lot of what this Battlescroll did. I think this is actually the best Battlescroll we've seen in Age of Sigmar so far.
That we've seen.
Well, no, they've only been doing Battlescrolls since the beginning of 3rd edition.
Oh wait, what?
Yeah. So they've had points adjustments. They've done other things, right? But the Battlescroll that actually goes in and changes things, I think that's 3rd edition. Started in 3rd edition. But what do you think, Drake? Was there anything about the game where you're like, they really should change this? Or even if you don't have a change, you're like, they really should look at this to see if there's a way they could do it better that this Battlescroll didn't have. That you're like, maybe next time.
I think maybe I just thought about this. When you were talking about how double turn can just annihilate an opponent's army. I would say give either you lose a command point if you've killed X amount of points, or give them a command point if you've killed X amount of points as a little catch-up mechanism or a debuff mechanism. So that way you don't just clean sweep them.
I could see that.
You don't have to kill 200
I think
points or something.
that almost seems better for something like Spearhead, because you don't want to be too much in the 2,000 point game, because I feel like if I'm just out generaling my opponent, right, I'm doing better. The game shouldn't be rewarding him for doing worse, right? A little catch-up mechanism is good. I don't think, it sucks when at the top of 2, your whole army's basically dead, and you're like, oh, okay, good game.
Cool.
Hey, cool.
I'll go break his
Cool.
toys before I die.
Yeah, let's get out of here. So I think some is good, but I don't think you want to layer those catch-ups too thickly in a 2,000-point game, because otherwise you start getting penalized for doing good. You don't even like ketchup.
I do like ketchup.
Oh, okay. We'll go after this video. We're gonna have Drake try ketchup. We're gonna see how much he likes it. Last time he tried it, it was not a fan.
It's a little too sweet.
Okay.
But I do like ketchup.
All right. Well, hopefully in the next Battlescroll we will see some attention with manifestations, but honestly, manifestations were probably like 3rd or 4th on my list, and they hit everything else. Right. So this was a great Battlescroll. I really hope we see more like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let us know in the comments below what you think. How did the Battlescroll affect you? Do you think these are good changes overall for the game? Were they good changes for your army? I mean, we didn't talk about individual points. So, we're not really going to do that, but almost all the points went down. There was so much decrease compared to, so much green compared to red.
Yay!
So I think
green.
most people's armies are gonna not be penalized.
Buy more toys.
I think there's a couple out there, like our Zinch army, I think got hurt. But most people, I think, are going to see, either keeping all their stuff, or maybe you get enough to have a little, another prospector unit in, get some ether wings in there or something, right?
Prospector.
That's what you call the guys that they run up the side of the board to take the flanks, and then they become chaff or something to get in the way, because they're just super cheap, like 80 point, 90 point units.
What unit is called a prospector?
Yeah, they're called prospectors.
Okay, because I thought you were talking about a unit named Prospector.
Oh no, yeah. All right. Well, yes, definitely let us know in the comments below your thoughts. I'd be eager to understand if there's anything we missed, if there's some big change that we have totally overlooked. We'll definitely call it out for us. Let us know. This has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
Thanks so much for watching.